Welcome to the Thriving Christian Artist, the podcast where we hope you connect with God to bust through the roadblocks that have held you back for years, create the work you love, and really live the life you know God created you to live as an artist in His kingdom. I'm Matt Thomas, your host. Let's get started. Well, hey there, my friend. I'm so glad that you're with me on the podcast today. You know, one of the beautiful things about walking in the kingdom with the Lord is that He brings incredible people into your journey at the right place at the right time in order to not only be a blessing to you, but for you to also be a blessing to them. And my friend Kasey Hope is one of those kind of people. We actually met several years ago through a mastermind group that I was a part of and I'm still a part of. Is people that I look to in my life to really encourage me, and I can encourage them in what we're doing in business and online. And Kasey loves the Lord. She's an artist. She's doing some incredible things, and she's one of those people that has just got an incredible testimony of God's goodness, not only how He has blessed her creatively with her art and licensing her art, selling her art, having an art business, but also how she balances all that together, has built a thriving business and still has time to really love on her family and be an incredible mom and wife. She's Superwoman. Well, listen, you're going to love this interview with Kasey. It's actually a great way for you to get to know her. She's a part of the speaking lineup for the Thriving Christian Artist Conference that we're having here in Asheville in March 2020. And so excited that she's going to be able to share her heart there even more in depth. But I thought this would be a great opportunity for you to get to know Kasey during this podcast. So I'm going to get out of the way, and I hope that this episode is a really big blessing with my friend Kasey Hope. Well, hey everybody, I'm so glad that you're with me. I've got my friend, artist Kasey Hope with me all the way from Alabama. Kasey, welcome.
Hey, glad to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. We were saying a couple of weeks ago on Mastermind, I was just by your house down in Montgomery area.
And you didn't come see me.
I know. I was on my way to New Orleans for some good seafood. But.
Yeah. Hey, we have a good seafood place right next door to the studio. So come by next time you're in town.
I know it. Well, listen, it's a joy to have you on. We've had the great pleasure of getting to know each other over the last couple of years in a mastermind that we're both a part of for people that are doing things online in business, and just so great to get to hear your story and that mastermind group in particular, not to get off on that, but I mean, what a choice group of people that I think the Lord brought together for.
I agree. I agree.
Really awesome. And so many of them, including you, are going to be a part of our Thriving Christian Artists Conference in March. And I just wanted to introduce everybody to you. So yay.
Yay.
Listen, give everybody kind of a snapshot of who you are, what you do, because you're living the life.
All right. So my name is Kasey Hope. I am in Alabama. In 2007, I started our art studio called Pizzazz Art Studio. So I used to be a former school teacher, and I loved teaching school. But whenever I had my first little girl, I just felt the need to be at home and a little more present. And so we started just teaching art in the afternoon. And I really did not foresee that was going to be a career change. I really just saw it as, I'm good at this. Our city has a need for it. And so let's do it. And one thing led to another, and classes, were getting full, and then more people asked to do birthday parties and adult parties. And so that has kind of evolved into what we do today, which is we do workshops for adults. We do after school art classes for kids. We do birthday parties, and that's here at the studio. Now there's other multiple different things that we do as far as I do some art licensing. Of course, just like all of us artists, just create and sell my art personally. And then about a year and a half ago, we, in addition to all of our local classes, we started teaching online. So I've got an online membership teaching ladies all around the nation how to do lettering, hand lettering. And so we teach it online, and we send happy mail to them. And so it's been a really fun way to extend our studio experience to more people across the United States.
That's awesome. I'm hoping my wife she's outside the podcast room right now, but I'm like, if she hears about this hand lettering club, she's gonna be sided up because she loves some hand lettering.
It's fun. It's fun. It's therapeutic. You feel proud of yourself. It's a lot of goodness in it.
I know it. I love it. I'm always looking. I wish I could do it because I'm always looking for that perfect hand lettered font and things that I'm doing. So
Hmm.
that's great. How did, when you were growing up, did you think of yourself as an artist, as an entrepreneur, or did you said you love teaching, you wanted to go into teaching? Was it
Hmm.
more about the helping people than it was the creativity, or a little bit of both, or what?
I always knew I wanted to do something creative. And I couldn't figure out, in college when you're looking for a major, I couldn't figure out exactly what that was. My mom was a school teacher and she told me, you can use your creativity in teaching. And she knew that I loved kids. And so at the same time, I really had a pull towards the arts. But at the time, I decided, like, I think I can do art without a degree, but I don't think I can teach kids without a degree in the school system. So when we went that route, all the while knowing that I'm going to do something with my art. I didn't
Yeah.
know what I was going to do with my art. I didn't know if it was just going to be in galleries. And for a while it was, while I was still teaching, I would put my art into galleries. But it's cool to look back and just to see how God orchestrated so many different things. Like even when I was getting my teaching degree, somehow I would end up with that one teacher who was trying to start an art program at the school. You know
Wow.
what I mean?
Wow.
And so
Wow.
just a lot of training that I got there. And I did not always think of myself as an entrepreneur. My dad had his own business, and I even early on in my marriage, I said I never want to have my own business. And that was just because I knew it was really hard work, and
Right.
I knew that it's not all glamour, and there are times where it's tough. And so I said that, but looking back on how God has formed me, I was creating little businesses ever since I was a kid. You know what I mean? I might not have
Yeah.
called them that, but whenever we were wanting to babysit people, we were making up jingles and putting them on a tape and handing the tape out. You know what I mean? So we were always trying to like market and create business one way or the other. But sometimes it takes you a little while to kind of see how God is putting all the pieces together. But I really do feel like this studio and our online membership, just teaching art, that is
Mhm.
my sweet spot.
Yeah.
I love creating art, but I really love teaching other people and create. I love creating experiences for other people. And there is a book. Oh gosh, I think it's by Max Lucado. I think it's
Hmm.
called Finding Your Sweet Spot,
Yeah.
something like that. And I went through that book, and that book really has some exercises that will take you through childhood and young adulthood, and
Yeah.
really have you pinpoint some commonalities that you start to see rise. And when I did those exercises, I really did see, wow, like I've loved teaching and creating experiences for people ever since I was a little kid. Like God has woven these things into us
Yeah.
since we were kids. And so that was a really cool book to read and helped kind of discover my path here.
I love it because you have really, and I've tried to do this in my own life, really embrace the unique design that God's put in your life, both creatively and in business and in your faith journey with Him. And it's like, I think a lot of people struggle to do that because they've kind of lived these siloed existence. My relationship with the Lord over here, and then my art over here, my business over there. It seems like for you though, this has always been kind of a natural convergence that you just kind of always seen your life moving all together like that, art, business, faith. I mean, is that true, or were there some struggle
That
with that, or?
No, that is true. And honestly, it's just an overflow of just who I am. And I really didn't even realize how much they were all intertwined until, somebody said, "You've never been afraid to just to talk about God in your studio," because and what they meant was oftentimes our pictures that we're doing at the studio are angels or crosses or
Yeah.
scripture. And that's just because that's what I like. I thought I like it. I want that in my home. So that's what we're going to teach. And it never even crossed my mind that I was trying to, make a stand or a statement or anything. But it was just an overflow of
Yeah.
me. And but people did start to say, "You've never been afraid to do that." And I thought, why would I be?
Well,
Like,
that's the best
I,
things, right? Is being naturally who you are and
yeah,
letting that
yeah,
overflow come
right,
out.
right.
Yeah, because otherwise I think it can feel really contrived, or whatever. And
Mhm.
you know talk about this, because I so many people now, in our mentoring program that I have in conferences, so many people have this idea that, okay, I'm going to be an artist, but I don't want to talk to people. I just want to stay in the art, the studio, and create and do my thing. And that somehow magically I can just go quote unquote online, or I can be on Instagram, or I can have an online business and I won't have to do anything. I just put up a website and all of a sudden magically everybody comes and my life changes. And when I hear this, I just laugh because I'm like, people like us that have businesses both in person, I don't want to say in real life, but
Yeah,
that
yeah.
have, kind of in person businesses where clients are coming in. And then at the same time have taken that online. I think we work harder sometimes than
I
people just,
agree. I agree. I have said it a million times. I was like, I feel like I can connect with people so much better in my studio. And then you go online and it takes another degree of effort to try to get to know them, to try to inspire them and encourage
right.
them and help them to put into action what you're teaching. It's definitely a different level. And I'm really glad that we have things like our mastermind doing it together because I
Yeah.
think it would be, well, I know for sure, like I've tried to do it years. 2013 is when I first started trying to teach online, like on a blogspot, and you'd have to have a little password to get
I
to
remember
it.
that. Right. Right.
And it was not successful, but I'm so glad that I started because I was learning little things along the way. But what I've seen is with good coaches and good mastermind and surrounding my people, or I'm sorry, myself with people who are kind of doing the same thing, it's helped so much. That's what's going to be awesome about the conference coming up, because those people that are coming will be able to surround themselves with other like-minded individuals, and that is what has pushed us forward for sure.
I think that's just a dynamic in God's kingdom, is that we're always to be reaching up to people that are further along than us, but also
Mhm.
at the same time reaching to the side and back to people that are not as farther along. Because you can
Mhm.
always share what you've learned, but you've
Mm,
also got to be
uh-huh.
open to what God's got. I'm the same way. I love the mastermind that we're in because I love, so for leaders like us that are not only leading things in ministry, but also in our businesses and family and all that, you tend to get into this place where everybody looks to you all the time. And it's like, can I just have a group of people where I'm not in charge, where, where I can
Where I
just be
don't
Matt,
have the answers, yeah, where I have got a lot of questions, yeah.
that is so key. And I think for all of us on our journey, I think God continually stretches us to continue to reach out and
Mhm.
grow. And
Mhm.
that's something I just really respect about you in particular, Kasey. You are not just a great artist and great entrepreneur. You're a wife, a mom. You're involved in your city. I mean, you are doing a lot. How in the world are you balancing all of this? And what does that feel like? How does your husband and kids fit into all this? And
Yeah, the biggest thing that I've done to try to help, because it's not, I mean, it's not always a perfect balance, but
sure,
getting help. That is the only way to do to do it all, in my opinion. If
as in
I,
building a team, right? I mean,
building and yes, a team, I listed off what we do, but when you think about what I listed earlier, our after school classes, we have somebody else that helps teach those. Our birthday parties, we have people that help teach those. Art licensing, that's basically you do it and you give it to the company and they do it for you. So there's a lot of things that my hand is in, but does not mean that I have to do everything all the time, because there's just no way. And whenever we first started the studio, I foresaw that. I knew, I was teaching all the classes in the afternoon, which was great when my kids were babies because I was home with them all the
yeah,
time when they
sure.
were little. And then their dad, my husband would come home and keep them, and I'd go to work, and it was fine. I'd work a couple of hours. Well, now they're in school. So I don't want those after school hours for me to be gone all the time. And so we've put into place teachers here at the studio, so that I can be a good mama too. So I would just definitely say get help, even if you don't think you can afford it. Like, we have grown into, every time we have brought more people on, at first it was a stretch and it was a little bit of a sacrifice, but I will always sacrifice a little bit of money for a better quality of life to
Yeah,
be with
yeah,
my family. And then eventually, we catch up and we're good. But even honestly, recently hiring just help, kind of personal assistant wise, I took my calendar, and my daily calendar, and I started doing this exercise of just writing down everything, my to-do list, and then I would go and I would just star this: what if I had a virtual, or not a virtual
yeah.
assistant, what if I had an assistant, what if I had somebody to help me, how many of these things could somebody else help me do, or if I trained them a little bit, could they? And when I started starring that up, and writing down the time, I saw that, hey, like there's about 3 hours of work that I could give somebody. And once I realized that and that was a pattern, then, we just started kind of putting the word out there and got, to begin with, just a college student that had some extra time in the summer, and she would come in and help me with these things. But that's a huge, when you can take 3 or 4 or 5 hours off of your plate, that somebody can run errands or check
Heck yeah.
email or make calls.
Right.
Like, it's huge. And to me, that is the only way that we have been able to have any sort of balance.
I love what Michael Gerber says in that book, The E-Myth. He says, most entrepreneurs are great technicians that are suffering from an entrepreneurial seizure. And it's like, we get into this, whatever our entrepreneurial venture may be for us as artists, so we get into this because we're great at the art, but then we've got to grow into the business. And if you're not careful, you can just grow yourself into a much deeper hole than any job that you've ever had. And I think I'm the same way. I'm very intentional about what are only the things that I can do and where can I bring in help? Because at the end of the day, to me, being an artist and an entrepreneur is not just obviously about the money, which is a great benefit, but it's also about living the lifestyle that you want to live. And that, for, I think, us as creatives and believers, means space and time for us to do other things that we feel like God's called us to do, and spend time with our friends and family and really enjoy the fruits of what God's blessed us with, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It just goes back to just being a good steward, a good steward of what God's given you, including your time and your family and your business.
Yeah. Yeah. Your lettering club, you started that what now? How many years ago?
I think it's just a year and a half.
Just a year?
Uh-huh.
I remember you saying on a mastermind call, just the beautiful experiences that you're seeing people have there. Is, yes, you're teaching lettering, but there's also this incredible connection that people are having with other people and with the Lord. And talk about that a little bit, because I know that for you, as somebody that's endeavoring to do the thing that God's put on their life to do, that's really got to be so fulfilling to see people encountering the Lord in the context of what you're doing artistically.
Absolutely. That's going to make your life better than anything.
Right.
Is growing that relationship with Christ. So if I can teach you to letter, great. But if I can, introduce you or show you ways to have a deeper relationship with God, then that is just the ultimate. And so within the lettering club, we are wanting to letter things that are, when you slow down and you're lettering, things get stuck in your head, whatever you're lettering, So if you're lettering truth and scripture and positivity, that uplifts you, and it calms anxiety. It helps with depression, but it also just fills your mind with truth. And we have just, it's been very cool just to hear, what people have to say just from doing things they've never done before. Maybe they've never kept a prayer journal before, but we send out a prayer journal. We teach them how to, in cute lettering, just to make a few different sections of it. Your thankful section, your confession section, and your supplication. We just teach them a formula that sometimes just gives people a little jumping off point. And that's not all that we do. That was 1 month though. That's we sent out little journals and showed them how to do that. And so it's a cool way just to bring art, which naturally helps to lessen anxiety.
Yeah, sure.
And then to couple that with God's truth and God's word, like I just think it's a really cool thing to see what God is doing inside there.
That's so awesome. Kasey, as you think now, from that first blog that you wrote on Blogspot to where you are now, obviously the journey has been an incredible one. I know that there are people listening today that have not even written that first blog. They're in that place of, wow, I would love to ... whatever that is. What would you say to encourage them today as somebody that's walked that journey and is in the middle of living a beautiful life that God's designed for you as an artist?
I would say don't overanalyze it and just take the next step right now. Just do it. Just do it. Like, even if it's wrong. Blogspot was a fail for me. Okay. but you know what it did? It taught me, it gave me the discipline to sit down in front of the camera. It showed me a little bit of well, I might need a better tripod. I might need some better lighting. Like there were things that I worked through. There was good that came from it. And back then I was teaching like watercolor lessons to kids. So I've even kind of changed what I'm teaching. So don't overanalyze whatever that I wish I could ... is. Just start it. Just start it in some way. Even if you can't do it in a big grandiose way, start it some way, and you just keep going forward until God tells you to stop. And pray for guidance all along the way. I would
Yeah.
definitely say that. Don't be so headstrong of this is what I'm going to do and I declare it and I'm going to do it. Don't be so headstrong with that, but just go into it with an open mind of God, lead me. And here I go. Like
Yeah.
I'm stepping out and just ask for his direction as you go. So
I,
much of faith is built after you take that first step,
I so agree. I think so many that I was just saying this in the mentoring program the other day, so many of the frustrations that we all deal with are 99% the expectations that I had about a certain situation, that it was supposed to happen this way and it didn't happen, or they were supposed to do this and they didn't. And so now I'm all in a tiz about it. And I'm like, if you can, like you said, not take yourself too seriously, what's God put in my hand right now? Let go of the how this is going to manifest, in my life. Just trust him along the way. And that's where the beauty of the journey begins. So listen, I'm so excited you're going to be with us at the conference in March. And I'm so excited to introduce you to my listeners. Where's the best place that they can get in touch with you, find out all the stuff that you're doing?
Yeah, we're Pizzazz Art Studio, both on Facebook and on Instagram. Pizzazz is spelled with a P, an apostrophe Zazz on Facebook. There is no apostrophe for the Instagram, but just Pizzazz Art Studio, Pizzazz.
Awesome. Well, Kasey, thanks so much for being on the podcast today.
All right, thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for spending a few minutes with me today on the podcast. Listen, I hope it's been a huge encouragement to you on your journey as an artist. Hey, also, before you leave, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of the other episodes of the Thriving Christian Artist podcast. And also, be sure to connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, or at my website, which is matttommymentoring.com. Until next time, remember, you were created to thrive. Bye-bye.